So the first thing I would tell any company is go ask the main employee in that job role and responsibility what they would do to improve what they do. Ask them.
Mm.
They will tell you. They know what's going on. They can make recommendations and then start asking that across every department and look at that and go, okay, what do I need to review and troubleshoot to streamline and be more effective at what we do and be more customer focused?
You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan England, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit Hiring System, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ryan England. And today's conversation with Lynn is going to be focused heavily in the service industry. I just want to give you that. However, as much as I thought we were going to talk specifically service stuff, we spend a lot of time talking about not only the implication of having AI in place, but the two reasons that we struggle keeping people in the office, keeping them productive. So whether you are a service contractor, a construction contractor, management firm, whatever you are right now, if you are dealing with inefficiencies inside of the office, this is an episode for you. All right, I want to introduce and welcome to today's show, Lynn Wise with Contractor In Charge. Lynn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
We get to spend a little bit of time together before I hit record, and wow, we've got a lot in common. Not just the way we think about things, the way we talk about the industry, the way people misperceive what it is that we do. So tell us real quick, tell us a little bit about Lynn, how you got started, what you're up to right now, and we'll see where we go from there.
Sounds great. So let me kind of give you a little bit of my story. I was 18 years old. I became a dispatcher at a plumbing and heating company. That opened the door to the next 50 some odd years, actually 51 years. I fell in love with that industry very quickly. I became an owner and a general manager in that company. And I left it after 15 years and went to corporate America. I went and worked for Ameritech and IBM. At the time, I would have thought it was the worst thing in the world, but it was actually the best thing because guess what? You got outside of your walls and you got to see how other things happen and are being done in different modes of thinking and so on. And so after retiring from IBM in 2009, I began putting together a business plan, whereas I could provide an outsourced service for the clients in this space, so the operators. And being an operator myself, I knew there were some shortcomings. One of them is lack of how you really handle an inbound call. And it's been known in this industry and has a legacy description of answering service, which I thought was wrong. And the other part of it was accounting. And so I have a degree and a master's in finance and accounting, and so does the team that I employ. And I knew that just putting numbers into accounts payable wasn't the answer to financial statements. So I struck out in 2016. It's 9.5 years later. We have over 70 employees and 180 clients. So we do quite a few things across both of those common sets. And we're looking at new offers and new things that we're going to provide in this space to make the industry stronger and better, we hope.
Now, when we were talking, you'd mentioned that your focus, besides just helping these contractors with back office support, is really helping them understand how valuable a lead really is to them. And if they just had better processes, more efficiency, they could convert at a higher rate, which we all know what higher conversion rates does to the business. We don't do the things we need to do, but we know that we need to do them. Talk a little bit about that right now. What do you see happening in the contractor space? Why are we missing this? Like, why aren't we getting this right?
My first answer to that is that we don't know. We don't plan. So we
Mm.
actually don't do the necessary steps to understand what it is that we need to do. So let me give you an example. The industry advocates spend a percentage of your revenue on marketing and advertising. Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means what? Buy more when I don't spend enough money, or buy less if I spend too much? But
Yeah.
what it really means is that you really need to know what your capacity is and your utilization of your technicians. What are the products and services that you're really selling? What do you sell the most of? What is your most profitable products? Where are your target demographics in your community? And then how do I assemble a plan that starts with, I need to buy enough leads to fill my board along the strategies I want to accomplish, which, by the way, can change from quarter to quarter, half a year to a half a year, cool weather to warm weather. And then the other part of it is that because we do overbuy, and then we'll get into something that I describe as being wrongly staffed. So we hire a CSR who also does data input to bookkeeping, but answers the phones and yes, does all of those things. But
Check,
in
check,
the
check.
meantime, you're really dealing with a job and roles responsibility issue. So we advocate 5 roles in the front office for an operator, that being the booking agent, the customer service rep, the dispatcher, inside sales, and AI. So we look at 5 roles that are in that front office today. And what are they
Hey, but that's
supposed to
not how it
do?
works. Like in reality, maybe AI is on its own, but those other 4, one person can do that, right, Lynn?
Absolutely, positively not. There's no way.
Oh.
They can do it, but can they do it efficiently and in a productive way? Example, if you were to do a time study of a CSR in your office with let's just call it answering phones, booking calls. So widely known statistic, and it is true, we prove it week over week, the same number. Only about 28 to 30% of the calls that come in on your phone are bookable calls. The rest of them are everything else. Customer service requests, whether it's I need to pay an invoice, or I need a copy of a bill, or I need to check on the part that's on order, et cetera, which, by the way, are long calls, and very rightfully so in some cases. They're customer service. It's a customer service skill. Whereas a booking call is a good call handled skill. Understanding and listening to what the request is, then managing that request so you can book it, which is a much shorter call. So they mix those two. So now I'm on a call with somebody who wants to know where the part's at. And I say, well, no problem. Let me go check. I put him on hold. I go check. I'm away for 1 to 2 minutes. By the way, that call is 11, 12-minute call. And in the meantime, how many calls did you lose that could have been a bookable call? Where did those go? They went to a third-party answering service, or they went to a voicemail, or in some cases, they just didn't get answered.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you're saying this. We're talking specifically about front office right now, and that first customer interaction with the contractor, and the way that we build that out. And we expect one person to be able to wear 4 or 5 different hats. And then we're frustrated because we think, oh, everybody's just shopping for price, or, oh, you know, that there's somebody else spending more money than me, so I can't compete in that space. But really what it is, we have a process issue created by the fact that we're putting way too much on one person, which is music to my ears, because I absolutely agree with you. And even if we say that there are 4 roles, if you will, that need to exist in this space, we don't even define them well.
No.
And then we're just like, your job is answer phones, your job is close, your job is, and they're like, okay, but how do I do that?
That's
How do you want me to do that? And I know that you guys are Service Titan experts. I imagine a lot of the principles that you apply there work for all dispatch software and all of that. but we struggle with spending the time to build a process. We struggle with saying, hey, you know what? That's too much for one person. Because you're right. I do want them to spend 12 minutes on the phone taking care of that customer, but I also want them to answer the phone the 3 times it rang while they were gone. And then we get frustrated because our business isn't growing, or customers aren't coming back, or customer satisfaction isn't there. So you mentioned AI as one of the options, as one of those roles. Talk to me about, what did you mean by that?
So AI is really about automation and efficiency. It is not about replacing people. It's about what can it do to affect positively those processes that we just talked about, right? So let's use the example of voice AI. We did a quite extensive trial last year. We ran more than 35,000 calls through voice AI. And what we know is that AI as a technology works. And what I tend to hear is that people say, "Oh, wow, it sounds human." Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that's good that it sounds human. What it needs it needs to be authentic. It needs to know what it's talking about and have emotion, and AI doesn't demonstrate those very well. Not yet. However, if you look at the 2 scenarios that we just provided, one be where it's booking calls versus customer service, where we're putting AI is in booking calls. I would argue put some of that into customer service. Change the equation, because it does work well with a customer when it's collecting information and they expect a return call or a call back. If it's an urgent call and it's 108 degrees and your air conditioner is not working, guess what? Hang up. Hang up. Even if it gets through what we saw, it gets through the completion of the information, then you offer an appointment and it goes, "I don't want that appointment. Agent. I don't want that appointment. Agent."
Yeah.
And it goes nowhere. So my line in the sand is, what's the type of call and what's the urgency of the call, and whether or not it can be triaged, if that's the right word, with AI. So triage your non-urgent situations and your more message situations into AI. Keep the urgent situations in with the human in the loop solution.
So I'm thinking about something you said earlier, which is only 28% of calls that come in are bookable calls.
Correct.
That implies that 72% of the calls, or more than 2/3 of the calls that come in, are not about putting someone new on the schedule.
That's correct.
We could use AI, if I'm hearing you correctly, to filter that a little bit. And when AI identifies that's a 28%, there's a human being standing there ready to pick up the phone.
That's correct.
And then the 72%, we could look at, okay, some of this can self-service. And then if we need to, we can put it to a customer service rep to handle the other stuff.
That's correct.
But we can use the AI to help us manage the calls incoming so that our people can be more effective.
That's correct. And so I'll give you a good example. And I don't know if I've got this number exactly right, but we track this. I think it's right around 12% of all calls are the question, when is my technician going to arrive?
Yep.
And so
Service Titan solves that problem, doesn't it?
no, or they wouldn't call, right?
Well, when you use Service Titan correctly, I mean, I just had an electrician come out here. They use Service Titan. I got the little picture of the guy and it said, your tech is 41 minutes away or whatever.
So the answer is it can solve it right. The problem is so many don't implement that process. And even if they do send out the notifications, Ryan, we see this. People still want to confirm, or they have a reason to call in. It's amazing to me, but it is. So that's just an automation that could be integrated.
Is that a generational thing, do you think? Because I hear that all the time. Like the younger generation, they don't want to talk to somebody.
I don't know that that's true. I think that if somebody's expecting somebody and they're nervous about or have anxiety around that person coming, I don't care how old they are. And it's funny, I have a lot of younger folks that work on my team, and we've talked about this like multitudes of times. And the younger people go, I don't want to talk to AI. If I've got something going on, I want to be able to talk to somebody. I call somewhere, I expect to have somebody talk to me, not a robot. So it depends. It depends, I believe, really and truly on what the nature of the call is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we started talking to a little bit of about the staffing issues that we have. Like I hear people going, you know what, Lynn, I wish I could find someone good to sit in a CSR seat and someone good to sit in a booking agent seat, but I can't find enough good people. So I just put more on the good people that I have until they break and they go somewhere else, right? They don't finish that sentence. But what's going on there? What do you see going on? You've got a large company. You're working with contractors, I'm guessing, all over the country, correct?
Yes.
So you see it in a whole bunch of different areas. What do you think's going on?
So I'm going to call out two culprits. One, it comes back to this job roles and responsibility. They don't know what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. And I think there's a lot of lack of management and mentoring. You hear a lot about, I'll call it coaching. I don't know if that's necessarily the right word I'm looking for. So it's actually managing the process and the system that these folks work within. So that's one. And I also believe that empirically that somebody's skill set and attributes that book calls are not the same person that loves to work in customer service. They're just two different people.
Yeah.
And so it dilutes their superpowers, and they become exhausted and they get tired and they lack structure and they lack, I guess, recognition to what their superpowers are. I think that's a big problem. I really do. The third thing I would say is that there is a common theme in this industry that everything has to be in-house. And I would argue that there are two roles that absolutely should be in-house: customer service and dispatching today. But if it is qualifying and booking calls and booking it in software, we're one of 2 or 3 companies out there that do this and do it well. If it's inside sales and you need somebody to do follow-ups on, by the way, a daily basis, a timely basis, not when they get to it basis, and actually do rehash and follow-up and happy calls and membership building and nurturing calls, that's something we can do. So you got to look at what is it that you need to have done and how can you do it, and do it with the most cost-effective but quality way to get it done. And so there are certainly, like I said, 2 key roles that I think you keep in-house: customer service and dispatch. Dispatch is the air traffic controller of the household. Let's just face it. The customer service is closer to the source. They're the ones that can dig deep or dig, broad.
Well, and they can make things happen.
And they can make things happen. A booking agent, though, that's trained properly and understands this industry can qualify and book appointments pretty damn good, to the tune of 85, 86, 87, 90%, depending on the client. I'm going to give you one last reason.
Yep.
Our clients make it really hard.
What do you mean by that?
Let's use the principles of scheduling calls. So today I schedule calls this way. Tomorrow I schedule it a different way. Or today I might do a job and book it. Tomorrow I may not because I'm too busy. So there's a lot of that goes on. There's a lot of ups and downs, and it isn't, it's lack of consistency. One could argue always, schedule a emergency call same day and figure it out. The other one I've seen where they have emergency calls and they go, why did you schedule it today? I could do it tomorrow. And so if we're feeling it as a third party, so are the people internally. So today is, it's whichever way the wind blows. And that all comes into, okay, what do I do? How do I manage something that doesn't really have a workflow or a process that's consistent and manageable? I'm not saying that you can't change. You can change. but you need to change appropriately. So that to me is one of the staffing issues, and it makes the job less desirable. It feels like it's unstructured. It doesn't feel like it's with purpose.
Well, it feels like your hair's on fire
Your
every
hair
single
is on
day.
fire every day. That is right.
So let me ask you a question, because you've been doing this for a long time and you've seen a lot. And this is something that I've experienced in my business when working with service contractors versus, say, construction contractors. Like, there are mechanical guys that do a lot of stuff in the construction space. But in the service space, it almost seems like people that are gravitated towards service like their hair on fire. And it's just the way the business is. And it's not for everybody, because I've worked with service contractors that are like, no, we've got a system, we've got a process, and we follow it. Everything works well. But for the majority of them that we've run into, it seems like their hair's on fire all the time and they don't want the process. They know they need it, but they don't want it because it feels like it constrains them and they're not able to be as flexible. And that's why their customers really like them. But that's not true. Why do you think that mindset exists? And what's one thing for people who said, yeah, you're right, Lynn, I do have that mindset and I want to break it? What's one thing they can do to break through that mindset?
So it's really taking a step back and looking at how efficient you are, Ryan, in what you do. And honestly, it translates into your financial statements. So we've been trained in this industry to want to be a 20% net operating income on our financial statements. I see very few examples of where that is true. So if it was a norm, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. But what I would tell you, if you took a step back and you looked at and you could plan better and be prepared better, meaning, for example, classic, weather's coming. It's going to be hot in 2 weeks. It's Phoenix. You can plan now on how to manage that instead of waiting till the day that it cracks the thermostat and everybody in the world is calling you. So plan.
But I think that's the way the industry is, though.
It's the way it's the way it's come up. That's not untrue. It is that industry mode. But I'm going to tell you, sustainability and culture and everything stems from that. So why do it that way if you don't have to? I would also tell you what I've seen, that a lot of them have tried to stabilize that by changing the business model a bit. So let's go from service to sales. So they've tried to become more of a sales driven company versus a service driven company. So they stop having their hair on fire. Well, guess what? If you sell things, guess what you have to do? You have to service them. So you still have to have service. So you got to, you can either manage them separately or indifferently, or you can manage them so with the same idea that I'm going to plan and manage for both. And how do you do that? It might be that you have to have different resources working on different parts of the business to help manage the hair on fire. But I can tell you the example I see over and over and over again is lack of planning just around weather events. They do not plan on weather events. We had a client who we normally got, I think it was like 20 calls on a Saturday, let's just say. It was 2 years ago when we had the big snow event in January. We got 1,800 calls on a Saturday for that same company.
Wow.
Just a simple announcement would have stopped the hair on fire. You could have put an announcement on the phone that simply said, due to peak weather demands, we are only servicing our existing clients and members. If you're one of those, press 1 and get to us. If you are a new client, we are not accepting you at this time. Please check Google and do a search. Just that simple. Yeah. Now it could be a little bit more refined than that, but you get what I'm saying.
We're just talking on a podcast. No, I get it because I have questions, but I think the one thing that I'm hearing here is a constant theme when you mention the word sustainability inside of an organization. what I really hear you saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is the reason we struggle, the reason this is so difficult isn't because there's a labor shortage or because kids these days don't want to work or the software isn't good enough or I don't have all the AI tools that everybody else. It comes down to two things: our lack of planning and our inability to communicate well, whether it's with our people or our customers.
Or our
With no
market.
plan.
Or the
What was
market.
that?
And the market. And the market.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I I love that. And I mean, is that accurate? Our inability to
Absolutely.
plan and our
Absolutely.
inability to communicate.
I'll share the story that I was sharing with you earlier. So, because I have been
Yeah.
around a long time, I've seen a lot of stuff, right? So, what I've seen over the last 50 plus years is that when things are good, they're great. When they're bad, they suck. And what we do, we continue to ride that good wave until the bad hits, and then we don't know what to do it because we don't plan. And in that cycles, the economic cycles, or whether they be, issues with you personally or whatever, our businesses aren't in a position, whether on a cash flow basis or on a sustainability basis, to keep people employed through the bad times. And so guess what? We let them go. And guess what happens? They leave and they go where? Somewhere else. And by the way, not necessarily to the trades. They'll go and they'll do another job, computer repair. What prevents a technician from wanting to do computer repair? Not anything.
Yeah.
It's still fixing something. They love to fix things. Or work in a factory. My heavens, I have to think one of the bigger contenders for jobs in a lot of big market areas is Amazon. So Amazon has a regular shift. And that's the other thing we've done as an industry. We've tried to normalize that and say, we're not going to run after hours, right? So we're only going to work Monday through Friday, or we're going to not work Saturdays. Well, that sounds good to the employees, but guess what? That's a lot of cash that you don't collect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and there are some employees that want to work the late shift.
That is correct.
They want to work the weekends. We do a lot of work in construction, and guys they gravitate towards the jobs that have unlimited overtime. They want the extra cash that comes from that.
Correct.
So there are people out there that are okay taking the phone home and being on call and working the emergency schedule. Like, there are people that want to do that. So you just got to find them.
Well, and a lot of times the owners of these businesses, they think out of their own pocketbook, right? So because they don't want to do it, then nobody else wants to do it. And so then I think you just lose the innovation that you really could offer as differentiating yourselves as a brand in the community that you serve. So that to me is as big of a, you ask about staffing, it's being sustainable, being cash flow solvent, being able to reinvest and innovate with your company with purpose, not just be the same as everybody else, but understand how to innovate. And it could be as simple as innovating. Like, I'll give you I think it's a classic. Why don't you just sell memberships on every service call? Everybody that is a lead becomes a member. Why do you have to do a service call and then sell the membership? Why don't you just make them a member? So you've got to have a way to create that loyalty and be able to nurture that loyalty. Even as big as any market is in some of the bigger markets, there's still only a handful of companies that hold the majority of the leads. Why not fight? Fight for what's yours.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is you got to get your act together and get that head on fire to go away if to stand a chance at doing that. Lynn, this has been great. I know we could keep talking forever. You've got an offer for our listeners, and then I want you to wrap up for the people listening right now going, I hear what she's saying. She's right. I got to do something different. I would love to know, what's that one piece of advice that you would give our listeners so that they can take action and start seeing results from this? And then please feel free to let us know how to get a hold of you, how they can learn more about the work you're doing with helping them book more customers, helping them with AI. You've got a lot going on right now. So please, as we wrap up, could you share that with our listeners as well?
So the first thing I would tell any company is go ask the main employee in that job role and responsibility what they would do to improve what they do. Ask them. They will tell you. Don't put them on the spot. Ask them.
Yeah.
Listen to what they say. They're the inside timekeeper, if you will. They know what's going on. They can make recommendations, and then start asking that across every department and look at that and go, okay, what do I need to review and troubleshoot to streamline and be more effective at what we do and be more customer focused than what we do? So that'd be my tip. Honestly, that's a starting place. Once that's done,
Okay.
get a trusted advisor, whether it's a coach, whether it's another colleague, whatever, and start doing some solid, how would we redo this if we were going to redo it today? How would we plan? As far as what we're doing, my offer is we're launching a consultancy and advisory service, Ryan, and we're going to start with, starting in July, a free assessment for everyone who has a Service Titan install, and come in, do a look at it, look at where the gaps are, where the opportunities are, and help you prioritize the requirements of your business and help you become more efficient and streamline in what you do. So that's going to be a free service. That's normally a $350 service that we do, but we're going to do that for free. Anyone that can contact me through the...
Wow. And for anybody that runs Service Titan, they're already investing a pretty penny. So why don't you make sure that you're maximizing your investment in Service Titan? Because it is an incredibly powerful platform. And for the people that get it right, it's a game changer. Like they don't ever look back. So what an amazing gift to our listeners. Lynn, thank you so much. Tell us how we get a hold of you.
Sure. Easiest, go on the web and find contractorincharge.com. I'm Lynn, Lynn, at contractorincharge.com. Send me an email and tell me you heard us yakking on Ryan's show, and I'll make it worth your time.
Lynn, thank you so much for being a guest here today. I learned a lot. I've got half a page of notes here, and I'm sure our listeners have done the same. So thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ryan England here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a Titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.